Oxcart engine overhaul. A day in the village. New admissions. Birth of a calf. Tribute to Krishna. The Padayatra Ox. February 2008. At dawn a villager came to the gate with his bellowing cow trailing behind. The bulls became alert, understanding she was in heat. The man said, "My cow needs one of your bulls." I asked him, "What's the matter with your bull?" He answered, "I don't have one." "You don't have one because you abandoned him in the street thinking he was useless, right?" He lowered his head and said, "That's right. I took him off the street and now he's healthy and strong. Do you still think he's useless?" I said. "No, of course not," he said shyly. "So he's worth something, right? What will you offer him to service your cow?" I asked. He smiled, showing his red teeth. "I'm a poor Vrajabasai, please do some service for me." "But I already have," I said. "I have taken your bull off the street and fed him." "Yes, so please do a little more since I am poor," again smiling. "If you're poor, how do you feed your cow?" I asked. "We have hay, we have some wheat and barley," he said. "So then, can you offer some to my bull?" "No, I can't." "Will you give him one Vrajabasai roti, some ghee, or a liter of milk?" "No." "So what will you offer?" "When my cow dries up, I'll give you the calf. And when my cow gets old and yields no more milk, I'll give her to you." While he tied her next to Kesava, I contemplated, because I do him a favor, he reciprocates by offering me his debts, free of charge. How would he reciprocate if I did him no favors? Krishna was purchased along with his partner Balaram in a small village in Gujarat near the famous holy place of Dwarka. Under the care of His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaja, Jaya Vijayadasa and Sanak Sanatana Dasa, Krishna and Balarama joined the Padayatra and began pulling the cart south when they were about 3.5 years old. They are both of the Kankrai species, which is known for being able to survive on a wide variety of vegetation and are thus ideal for traveling all over India. They are described as having a narrow face and broad forehead which is slightly dished. They have massive horns which arch upwards and are often symmetrical. Their color varies from silver to dark grey and they are some of the best draft animals in India. Krishna was almost black and Balarama was Gaurajandar throughout the Indian subcontinent. A life-size murti of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada graced the cart, which was always accompanied with Hari Nama Sankirtan. Jaya Vijayadasa recalls that Krishna was one of the most intelligent oxen that powered the Padayatra. Sanak Sanatana Dasa says that Krishna was very dutiful and was happy when he was in the front pulling the cart. He disliked to be in the back training behind. Krishna and Balaram worked shoulder to shoulder for several years until Balaram developed horn cancer, which is a common ailment in the Kankrai species. He died several years before Krishna. Tribute to Krishna: silver and slightly bigger, hence they were named after Krishna and his elder brother Balarama. Balaram was the dominant of the two and they bonded as they pulled the cart of Sri Sri Nitai. Krishna and Balaram resting on the road the Padayatra ox, Krishna and Balarama on the road Indpaday, Krishna on the road Krishna at Kumbh Mela 2001 Diayatra, Balarama on the road who was saddened by his departure. After completing the second circumambulation of India and arriving in Vrindavan for the annual Braj Mandala Parikrama in 2001, Lokanath Swami Maharaja, Istadeva Dasa, and Sanak Sanatana Dasa discussed the future of Krishna. He was still able to work for a year or more, but they feared when he reached his limit they may not be in such a favorable place to retire him. After much discussion, they decided to retire him early so that he could spend his last years in Sri Vrindavan. Krishna was not happy with this decision as he wanted to continue serving on Padayatra. Not understanding the wisdom and concern of his protectors, Krishna protested by being irritated and unruly for almost a year. We brushed him for hours, took him for long walks and built him a cart, but nothing seemed to pacify him. See our June and July 2006 newsletters. Adi Purasadasa used to take him on walks and recalls an old farmer driving a tractor once approached from the Sri Sri Nitai Gaurajanda opposite direction. Upon seeing the majestic form of Krishna, he parked the tractor, got off and after prostrating himself before him, took the dust from his hoof with his right hand and placed it on his head. After some time Krishna bonded with a cow named Vanamali who seemed to be the cause of him becoming peaceful and cooperative. We then let him wander freely and removed his nose harness. He was respected by all the other members of the herd and he never bullied the smaller members. Often, upon seeing a bullock cart passing by the Goshala, Krishna would go to the gate and roar, seeming to remember his 10 years of wandering on Padayatra. For several years he was the only Kankreyi bull in Vrindavan and was thus quite well known. Everyday people passing by our facility would stop to admire him and feed him chapatis. He became a landmark and our facility became known among the locals as the Bara Singh Wala Bail Goshala, the Great Horned Bull Goshala. When winter approached, Krishna started to walk more slowly and reduce his food intake. He started to withdraw and his interest in the routine of the Goshala waned. Soon he began to stand with his head tilted to his right side and his right eye started to close. Dr. Lavanya examined him carefully and over a few days announced that Krishna showed symptoms of horn cancer. Over the next weeks his diagnosis was confirmed and we moved him into a sand-filled shed where he could rest comfortably. Gradually he lost interest in eating but still liked to go out and sit in the sun during the day. As winter came to a close, he could not stand up and lay for 5 days until Makara Sankranti, when the sun changes course and the days start to become longer. 3 men were sitting with Krishna who lay peacefully breathing slowly, Sanak Sanatana Dasa who had purchased him 18 years prior, Jayadeva Dasa, a devotee who had served on Padayatra for several years, and Kurmarupa Dasa who along with Radhapati Dasa had accepted the responsibility to maintain him during his retirement. Kurmarupa had decided to stay by Krishna's side during the night and left to get warmer clothes and a thermos of ginger tea. Minutes after he left, Sanak Sanatana and Jayadeva watched Krishna lift his head high, open his mouth, exit his body and gently lay his head again on his pillow. The soul of that great noble bull departed and those witnessing were reminded of the passing of Bhismadeva, the grandsire of the Pandavas. The next morning several devotees arrived to pay their respects and all assisted as we moved Krishna to the grave we had dug between 2 trees. A lady narrated that while on Padayatra 2 village men followed her with ill intent. As she was hurrying away from them she passed by the place Krishna was tied. Sensing she was in danger Krishna rose to shook his horns frightening the men away. Other visitors said they could still sense Krishna's presence in the compound and felt a protective energy all around. After being placed in the grave about 25 devotees offered Ganges water, flowers and incense and began to circumambulate him in curtain. With moist eyes we all filled our hands with Vrindavan dust and began to shower it all over his body. As the news of his departure spread, letters came from all over the world offering condolences. The family who had been sponsoring his maintenance offered to build Krishna a Samadhi memorial which is in progress. See below. Krishna is an inspiring example of one who served selflessly to spread the holy name to every town and village. His passing in Vrindavan at an auspicious moment, in the company of well-wishers and without excessive suffering attests to his greatness. May he remember us favorably as we continue to struggle in this material world. Sudevi sent a cow from Radhakund who was suffering from a prolapsed vagina. She mentioned to us that the cow was pregnant and was due in about 10 days. The cow was nervous and disoriented upon arrival being in a new environment. 2 days passed and the cowherd men all agreed that it was unlikely that she was so close to giving birth. 1 or 2 even doubted she was pregnant. In any case the cow was treated for her prolapse and began to settle in. On her 6th day of being with us she sat down and delivered a perfectly healthy female calf. Our medical staff gathered to assist her and as the calf's head appeared they called out Radhi Radhi. These being the first words she heard, that is the name she has been given. It took her less than an hour to stand up and when she started to nurse no milk came out. Her mother turned her head and began to nurse from her own udder to get the milk flowing and then encouraged Radhi Radhi to try again. The mother is very protective of Radhi Radhi and follows behind her while she learns how to run and jump. She has been named Gomata in recognition of her exemplary maternal qualities. CFC welcomes another calf. Radhi. Radhi. Gomata, the calf's hooves still encased in the placenta, the calf's nose emerges, then the head. Radhi, the calf starts to breathe, and with each lick comes more to life and then stands and nurses. On a crisp, cool Kartik morning in Vrindavan, 16 bleary-eyed gopi hopefuls straggled in by ones and twos to our predetermined meeting spot. The group had come from as far as the USA, France, and the UK to experience the charm of Vrindavan, but now they sat around sluggishly. After a late night of bhajans, 7 in the morning felt awfully early. "Okay, let's go," I shouted, trying to sound lively. Life in the village starts bright and early. Gotta milk those cows. We hopped on any rickshaw available in front of the Krishna Balarama Mandir and headed out to Churghat, where our host, Pavan from the Belvan Care for Cows Goshala, would be waiting. The call to action seemed to rouse our group of sleepy gopis. Many pulled out cameras and started snapping away. Some encouraged their rickshawwalas to race. Chuckling with good humor, the drivers pushed their bony, sinewy legs hard into the pedals and we reached Churghat quickly, so quickly that we ended up passing a yelling and beckoning Pavan right by. The Yamuna lay still, blanketed by a thick layer of fog. The top of the Kesi Ghat Maiden Mohan look-alike temple jutted through the dense haze. Contrasting sharply with the Yamuna's calm and quiet, a large bull bulging with muscle flaunted his might as he plowed his horns deep into Yamuna's sand, tossing it carelessly all over his body. The setting was a perfect introduction, a day in the village, photos and text by Kampakalata Devi Dasi into our coming venture. Before us were two pivotal aspects of Vrindavan village life, the cow and the Yamuna river. Under the rising sun, we made our way across the Yamuna and through countless agricultural fields to Belvan. Here was Vrindavan as it once was: sprawling fields, dusty paths, ancient, gnarled trees, an occasional flower bush, flocks of parrots swooping and squawking through the air, peacock calls heralding the start of the day, bree basis, heads burdened with the day's vegetable pick, proceeding to the market, oxen dutifully pulling their wooden carts under a cloudless blue sky. Our gopi group soon lost themselves in the idyllic setting. "No trash," one marveled. "No horns honking," said another. Soon we found ourselves in Belvan village. Some of our group sped hurriedly from one endearing sight to another, while others lagged behind to pat each calf, chat with each bree basai child and admire every thatched hut, neatly stacked cow dung paddy tower and gnarled old tree. Pavan and I found it difficult to keep the group together and moving at a steady pace. "The cows are waiting to be milked," I called encouragingly. But gopi chores didn't seem to be high on the priority list. Our visit brought children and youth of the village scurrying to their doorsteps. Radhi, they exclaimed excitedly. Girls with water pots piled high passed by, smiling and whispering to each other while ox carts maneuvered through the narrow dusty walkways. Young buffaloes sprawled out in the sun, all four legs extended. Cows lazily chewed their cud. It took some encouraging to get the whole group through the village and into the Care for Cows Goshala. Here the excitement increased as the curious cows gathered round to greet us. Pavan patiently showed the girls how to milk. Our gopi wannabes smiled with satisfaction as they each in turn managed to squeeze some milk into the bucket. Here especially, amongst peaceful, well-cared-for cows, the charm of village life made its mark. The girls watched with gratification as the calves were let loose with their mothers to nurse. Suddenly, they were ravenously hungry too. "No problem." Pavan set to work boiling and cooling a whole bucket of fresh milk. As the girls eagerly drank one glass after another, their discussion centered around how wholesomely delicious this milk was compared to the factory-produced milk of their native countries. After milk, Pavan took us to Belvan's trademark Lakshmi temple, where Lakshmi Devi is still left. Nakula and Arjuna approach a gopi. Middle, a gopi admires Sundar. Above right, Lala Gopal accepts some service from Sarasvati Devi Dasi. Performing austerities to join Krishna's Rasalila. Our would-be gopis appreciated the theme of the Pavan's talk. To join Krishna's Braja-lila, one's heart must be simple like that of a village girl. Although living in opulent palaces in Goloka Vrindavan, The gopis are happiest in a simple forest setting surrounded by cows and nature. Their only anxiety is Krishna's pleasure. Our day in the village culminated with a visit to a Brij Desai household. The family greeted us warmly with smiles, head tilting side to side nods and Radhi Radhi-us. The eldest daughter industriously set herself to making rotis over a cow dung stove. A few of us sneaked a peek over the wall into the smoke-filled, dark corner used as a kitchen. "Go on," I prodded the girls. "Try making some." A couple backed away while one more daring girl stepped forward uncertainly. Probably most of our group had experienced rolling dough out with a rolling pin, but flattening a large ball of very sticky dough between the fingers and palms so that it's perfectly circular and of even thinness, or thickness, all around is quite a challenge. After watching a few flopped attempts by my fellow gopi friends, I decided to try my hand at it. I thought I had done pretty well, until I noticed that our host had added it to the reject pile. Oh well, maybe next time. Brij Desai rotis have a certain smoky, rustic flavor that simply cannot be duplicated over a modern gas or electric stove. And when you add the hearty, good-natured love of the Brij Desai making them, the experience is most certainly one of a kind. The boys of the family along with Pavan set to serving our famished gopis varieties of sabji, rotis, and homemade pickles. We each got our very own pile of sugar to dip the rotis in as well as a jalapeno pepper stuffed with a spicy homemade mustard paste. After lunch, Janavi from the UK led all of us in a bhajan for our host's deities. The grandma of the family suddenly bounced into a folksy Brij Desai style dance despite her obvious advanced age. Our host's daughters and their friends danced, each presenting her own unique style. Janavi's magical Maha mantra melody filled the room, moving everyone to sway or dance. Several of our girls soon joined the dancing. One couldn't help but be drawn into the magnetic power of the name. Everyone clapped, bouncing, and smiling as Janavi called out sweetly, "Radhi Radhi, Govinda Radhi," mixed with calls of Radhi, and Radhi Shyama. And thus the day came to a close. Our gopis gave gifts to the girls of the Brij Desai family and heartily thanked Care for Cows Pavan for hosting and guiding us through our day in the village. Soon our group reached the Yamuna River, which now sparkled merrily. We pushed off the shore, each quietly absorbed in her own thoughts. Abruptly, Kunti from the US blurted out, "We definitely need to do this again." This prompted concurrence from all. The quiet boat suddenly buzzed with excited gopi chatter. Someday this will be our life, I thought, the cows, the Yamuna River, the forests of Braja, singing, dancing and feasting. Someday life will be so simple and carefree, with Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. Kanhya is a Gurux who is from Sundrak village just 1 kilometer from our clinic. His owner Papu is a poor man with no farmland and is entirely dependent on him to make a living. He uses Kanhya to haul bricks, cement, sand, and other building materials to various construction sites in Raman Reddy. We have been watching Kanhya's health dwindle as he passes our clinic each morning on the way to work. His gait is wobbly, his ribs are showing, his hair is falling out and his morale is broken. We asked Papu why he keeps working him even though he is so weak, and he replied that he cannot afford to take a day off as he lives from hand to mouth. He has no savings and requires his daily earnings to keep his family fed. Understanding that Kanhya's dwindling health is one result of Papu's poverty and knowing him not to be a cruel person, we made a plan to take in Kanhya and restore his health. We offered Papu the use of our Madhu, who is strong and healthy and looking for an opportunity Oxcart engine Papu and Kanhya to let off steam. We made an arrangement that Papu work Madhu each day but return him to us each evening so we can make sure he stays well fed and healthy. Papu and Kanhya are very happy with this arrangement, and in exchange Papu will deliver any construction materials to Care for Cows free of charge. Engine overhaul Papu and Madhu. Kanhya Suradasi. Suradasi's fourth calf. Our beloved and gentle blind cow Suradasi has given birth to her fourth calf since being with us. We allow her to breed as she is one of the only milkers we have. She sat down to deliver while our medical staff was on duty and they happily came to her assistance. Generally the calf comes out of the birth passage with their front hooves first as if diving into the material world. When this calf's hooves came out they were inverted and this led us to assume they were the hind legs and that the calf was being born in reverse. Dr. Lavagna was consulted by phone to guide us in the delivery but Surdesi's next contraction revealed the nose of the calf and then we understood he was diving into the material world upside down. Since Surdesi is known to have quite an appetite, her new bull calf appeared enormous and healthy. He is already bigger than several of our orphaned calves who are 3 months old. He is extremely energetic and since he is mad about his mother's creamy milk he has been awarded the name Makankar, which means butter thief. Surdesi's fourth calf was born upside down but is healthy and happy. Makankar new admission Sadhu Santosh Sadhu is a 7-month-old bull from Raman Reddy. We saw him wandering in the vicinity of the Krishna Balarama tree and tried to coax him towards our facility but he ran off. His tail and back legs were covered with dried diarrhea to the degree they looked like tree bark. One local man told us he knew the route the young bull frequented and volunteered to catch him and deliver him to our facility. He arrived the next day and has bonded with Bihari and Sundar Krishna, 2 other orphaned bulls who have been with us for over a month. Admissions A village woman brought Santosh to our gate saying that his mother had dried up and that she cannot keep him anymore. She ran off and left him standing there. Generally when this happens the calf immediately follows his owner back home. Somehow Santosh sensed that he would be happier here and stood quietly while she walked away. He stood at the gate and when a cowherd man entered he ran in and made himself at home. He has teamed up with Bihari, Sundar Krishna and Sadhu and has settled in with no fuss whatsoever. Tulasi was also sent to us by Sudevi from Radhakund. She has been suffering for a prolapse vagina and arrived with stitches in her vulva. Infection had set in and Dr. Lavagna removed the stitches and the cow has been receiving treatment to cure the infection. So far the prolapse has not reoccurred. Tulasi Bhagirati is from Radhakund. A bull mounted her and she fell and broke her spine and laid for many days before she was brought here. She has severe pressure sores on both sides and her hind quarter is paralyzed. Dr. Lavagna recommended massage along her spine and while she is still unable to move her back legs and tail, she is able to twitch muscles around her hips which indicate increased sensitivity. She is laying on 2 feet of sand covered by rice straw while her pressure sores are being treated. She shows a boost in morale but she will never be able to stand up or walk again. Bhagirati above, a crane assists our medical team by catching flies that land around Bhagirati's pressure sores. New admission Syama Priya was found in a newly dug drainage ditch near our compound at 4 in the morning. Some local people took her out and she lay on the side of the road until our cowherd men stood her up and walked her into our facility. She was suffering from strained muscles and shock. After examining her carefully, Dr. Lavagna diagnosed her as suffering from ketosis, a disease that causes blindness, partial paralysis, and prevents the body from producing glucose. Other symptoms are constant grinding of molars and walking in tight circles. She has been with us for 20 days and has not been able to eat or drink unassisted. When she is thirsty, she places her muzzle in the bucket but due to partial paralysis in her throat she is unable to suck in the water. She has been given nutrients in an intravenous drip and is daily fed 2 liters of a mixture of cooked grains and gur. Water is poured in her mouth carefully avoiding it to go into her windpipe and she is doing so well we cannot detect weight loss. It is indeed remarkable. Syama Priya Vinodai Lal is a 1.5-year-old bull who was brought in from a village on a bullock cart. He has suffered several injuries, the worst being a fractured tibia. The part of the bone that was protruding was removed by Dr. Lavagna and the wound is being cleaned and dressed daily. 2 of his other legs are also injured and when placed in a sling and hoisted up, he makes no attempt to use them. He is eating well but it is not yet known if he will be able to walk again. Lakshmi arrived from Radhakund with a severely broken tibia. She was an unruly patient and it took great patience to treat her. The tibia had been fractured some weeks before and infection had set in. She died 10 days after her arrival despite the treatment she was given. Vinodai Lal arriving by bullock cart. Vinodai Lal recuperating Lakshmi just before her departure. Life in the streets at midnight on the Mudura-Govardhana highway. A cow was hit by a speeding truck and dragged for several meters. She was mangled. Tirtha Vikas Trust was alerted as they have a cow ambulance. They woke up the driver who picked up the cow and took her to Sudivai in Radhakund for evaluation. The cow had 3 broken legs, a broken jaw and several serious lacerations. In the morning they brought her to Care for Cows for Dr. Lavanya to treat her. He labored for 3 hours straight with 4 assistants. Her broken jaw prevented her from chewing. After 3 days of intravenous feeding, her suffering ended. Those who want to help protect abandoned cows in Vrindavan are encouraged to contact KM Arupa at careforcows.org, cell number 0983 709 0024. Help raise $500,000 to purchase a home for us. The Care for Cows Clinic is a home for over 100 injured, sick or disabled cows. Help Krishna's abandoned cows in Vrindavan. Our deadline is Gaura Purnima, March 21, 2008. If just 1,000 people donate $500, we can reach our goal. Email kmarupa at careforcows.org. Visit careforcows.org. Donate via PayPal or credit card. May cows stay in front of me, may cows stay behind me, may cows stay on both sides of me. May I always reside in the midst of cows. Hari Bhaktivila 16.252. The cows send their wholehearted thanks to all who assisted during January 2008. Thank you from the cows. Alessandro Petrezzi, Italy Ananda Dasa, Guatemala Anonymous, Singapore Avinal Joshi, Malaysia Bani Hamdi, USA David Kazanau, USA David Thornton, USA Devala Dasa, Canada Dhruv Singh, India Dhruva Maharaja Dasa, India Divya Priya Dasi, India Dominic Bletz, Europe Elizabeth Lyons, USA Enver Ajanovic, Ireland Gokul Rani Dasa, India Himwati Greenberg, USA Helene Hare, New Zealand Hemant Ramana, USA Isani Dasi, Holland J. Saman, Singapore Jayesh Patel, UK Kathleen Fink, USA Kenneth Solomon, USA Kurt Mozart, India Labangalatika Dasi, India Lalit Mohan Sarasvat, India Lakshmi Rupa Dasi, India Madhusudana Dasa, India Maxim Semenikin, Russia Mariana Polinsky, USA Martin Svasana, Switzerland Michael Barsalia, USA Merlid Haradasa, UK Nalini Gagar, Netherlands Nicholas Pasada, USA Nikanjay Patel, India Padme Samhava, NZ Pradipta Chatterjee, USA Pranay Vallabha Dasa, USA Radha Jivan Dasa, India Radha Mohan Savak, India Radha Patti Dasa, India Simona Polzupan, Slovenia Sivarajan, Singapore Sivananda Dasa and family, AUS. Subramaniam Tambaraja, Malaysia Suresh Vajiani, UK Trayadish Dasi, USA Tusta Krishna Dasa, USA Urish Chetty, South Africa Vananath Dasa, USA Varun Janeja, UK Varun Lal Saha, Malaysia Vicky Moreland, USA Vidyasagar Lakand, USA Vyasapada Dasa, Canada.